the magic castle, and the mysterious friend long, long ago, in a small village surrounded by dense forests and flowery meadows, lived a boy named Simon. Simon was 6 years old and loved spending time playing with his friends and watching cartoons on his tablet. One day, while watching his favorite cartoons, he accidentally came across a very scary character from a game. From that moment on, Simon was afraid to stay alone in his room and often woke up at night screaming. One night, when the moon was shining brightly in the sky, Simon decided to take a risk and go for a walk in the garden. In the distance, he noticed something extraordinary, a magic castle that he had never seen before. The castle glistened in the moonlight, and its towers reached up to the clouds. The mysterious friend. Intrigued, Simon decided to get closer. As he approached the castle, he noticed that the doors were slightly ajar. With a pounding heart, he stepped inside. The interior of the castle was full of twinkling lights and mysterious sounds. Suddenly, from behind one of the pillars, emerged a mysterious friend, a small glowing spirit named Lumi. "Welcome, Simon," said Lumi in a soft, soothing voice. "I'm glad you're here. I am Lumi, the guardian of this castle. I see you've come here because of your fear." Simon nodded, his eyes filling with tears. "Yes, Lumi. I'm afraid of the dark and the scary characters I saw in the game. I can't sleep peacefully and I'm scared to stay alone," Simon confessed. "The luminous adventure." Lumi smiled warmly and took Simon by the hand. "Come with me. I'll show you something that will help you understand that the dark isn't as scary as it seems," said the spirit. Together they began to wander through the castle corridors. Every corner was full of magical creatures and incredible sights. In one of the chambers, Lumi stopped in front of a large mirror. "This is the mirror of courage," said Lumi. "Look into it and see what truly lies in your heart." Simon looked hesitantly into the mirror. At first he saw only his reflection, but after a moment the image began to change. He saw himself as a superhero, full of courage and strength. He smiled at his reflection, feeling his heart fill with warmth and confidence. The battle with the shadow. Suddenly, from a dark corner of the chamber emerged a shadow, a figure resembling that scary character from the game. Simon felt his heart start to race again, but this time he didn't run away. Instead, he looked at Lumi and remembered what he had seen in the mirror. "I'm not afraid of you," Simon said firmly. "I am a superhero and I have courage in my heart." The shadow began to shrink and eventually disappeared, leaving Simon and Lumi in peace. Lumi smiled broadly and patted Simon on the shoulder. "See, Simon, courage comes from the heart. The dark isn't scary when you know you have the strength to overcome it," said the spirit. Simon nodded, feeling his fear slowly fade away. He understood that what had frightened him was only in his imagination, and true courage comes from the heart. "Thank you, Lumi," said Simon. "Now I know I can overcome my fears." Lumi smiled and disappeared in the moonlight. Simon returned to his home, feeling stronger and more confident than ever before. From that day on, he was no longer afraid of the dark or the scary characters from the game. He knew that he always had the courage within him to face his fears. Simon often thought about his adventure in the magic castle and his mysterious friend Lumi. Every night, when he went to bed, he reminded himself that he was a superhero and that his courage came from his heart. Thanks to this, he slept peacefully and was no longer afraid to stay alone in his room. Simon learned that true courage comes from the heart, and that the dark isn't so scary when we have the strength within us to overcome it. You too can be like Simon, a superhero who can face your fears and find courage in your heart.